tidied it up. Getting some more calves dropped off. Sold some cattle. We'll get big rig trucker here dropping them off. See what we got. Just jump them down, they won't. Just jump them down, they won't. They won't go running because the grass is.
Fuck you, they won't run. You know how many times I've chased those fucking people around the yard? Fuck, the other morning, gravel trucks trying to vacuum, fucking two of them are running around.
Which one?
Fucking other show.
Great evening, guys. Well, we've had a little bit of rain here. I think our total rain from last night and through the night, early morning, was right around 1.25 inches, which it came nice, so it's not going to mess up anything. So so give us a little break, but the crops are sure going to respond to it. So it'll be a little sloppy in the yards here. Check the cattle out, because they also did something today. They poured the concrete, which Joe's got that door shut so they don't mess with it. One less in the pen here. We shipped that fat Angus Cross heifer. She weighed 1,510 pounds. Brought $3.22 a pound. So just shy of $4,900 Canadian for her. So that's pretty good return. She was well finished. I guess the buyer that buys them, they are very specific in the cattle that they buy, and they decided that they wanted to own her that day. So if you eat high-end, probably eat at a high-end restaurant and pay $200 a plate for your steak dinner, so you might eat her. So just got these guys left. We're probably going to hold on to them till that yard's all done. And like I said, they're Holsteins. They need a little more finish on them. Like her at the back there, she's getting close, and these guys, but another 3-4 weeks on them won't hurt them. That big or that Angus Cross heifer was definitely getting well, she was perfectly finished based on her weight and the price she brought and where she went. They were obviously happy with what they were going to get with her. So sneak around and check that out and see how the goats are doing. They probably weren't happy last time. Small Lake O'Neill is back. Hopefully my boots don't have any holes in them, but we should, once they come and do the final grade work on it, that should be all the way. So there they go. So what this rebar here is for is we're pouring 6-foot walls, and then these walls over here, this is for our chute. So we're gonna have walls along here, and then our cattle chute and head gate is gonna sit here, and that way we can process them. So now that you kind of got concrete and you can see kind of the layout of the yard, you can see that we are adding quite a bit of space outside. And then same thing here. I don't know. That's gonna bug me. I think the way it just worked out with the concrete. Technically this is going to be covered, so I think the feed alley will be centered over centered with the door. I think so. But we're gonna have a nice big area out here for them as well. And like I said, the walls are gonna be 6 feet tall. They've got their partitions here for support, all framed out. And I believe, not 100% sure, I don't know, we'll ask Joe. Alright, debriefed it with Joe. Apparently when they pour the feed alley it won't look as off-centered, but my OCD and probably the internet trolls will point out that our feed alley is not centered with the door. But probably that door isn't centered exactly in the center of the barn, and it is literally a non-issue for the most part. More of just wanting stuff all to look the same or square, but I'll probably still sleep fine at night, not get too worried about it. Well, that's it for today. I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. Alright guys, it is Saturday, June 21st. I think it's the first day of summer. Or was that yesterday? Not 100% sure. But anyways, earlier in the week I was giving you guys some highlights of what we were getting done. So they've got the concrete poured for the yard. So we did, well, they call it a jitterbug finish. So there's grip on the concrete. And then here's our race, or our cattle working area, so the chute. So they're going to pour 6-foot walls here. There's going to be a gate right here so that we can set the chute in. And then this is with the driveway here, when we want to ship out cattle, this is where we'll back the trailer up to. And then I believe there's gates here. There's supposed to be a gate there as well, but they accidentally put the rebar there when they shouldn't have. And then back in the video, you guys can see here, the concrete doesn't look centered over the door. Essentially what happened is this side was done right. So this is, the feed alley is going to be 10 feet wide. So you over pour the concrete so that over top of the feed alley and where the posts are, there's concrete. So they come in and they'll lag the posts on top of this, and then they pour the floor over top of it, so they're in there secure. They just misread, or I don't know if it was miscommunicated or what, but anyways, they just got to pour another foot here, and then off the center of the door is where we'll put our posts, run them along here, and then poured the feed alley. And then I believe there's posts going in there as well. They just didn't get them drilled in time. And then our wall, we got our supports out the side, and this will all be 6 feet tall. So there would be lots of area, or lots of space outside for them. Got more supports here. And then this side here, they've put an extra rebar in to add horizontal support. So I think we can still drive in and back, or drive in with the mixer. And then we're pouring a bit of concrete on the end here, so that we can then take it in with the skid steer. Because there's gonna be a gate from here to about here, so we can run them across. So when we bring them in, they can put them in the chute and then run them across. Or when they get out of this pen, to weigh them, run them across. So there's only going to be like, I think 20 feet of feed bunk outside. So majority of the feed will be inside. This would be just a little bit of extra feed over top outside. Because with this yard right now, as this barn currently sits, this pen's pretty well at capacity. So with having the yard outside, I don't know if we double it, but right now it's 76 head. And with the yard outside, it probably jumps the whole barn capacity to I want to say like 120, 130. Theoretically, I think I did the math, you could have, with the square footage, could be up where, well, it could add about 100 head, but with the feed alley being in there, I think we're not gonna have them packed in here super tight. Because yeah, you could probably get 75 to 80 on this side if they're this size and smaller. But once they get to this size, or close to the finished size, there'll be less room, and then there's some square footage loss with the chute. So yeah. So I think early next week they're coming. Once the concrete's cured enough, they'll come in and they'll lag the posts down where they need to be for the gates, and then they're gonna pour the walls, fix up pouring that, so we can lay the post, so they can put the posts in for the head gate or the feed alley, and then we'll hopefully within week 10 days from that have a fully functioning yard, and then we can let these guys outside, and we'll probably bring more back from David's and get them on TMR ration, and then we'll finish cleaning that side of the barn out. There's 3 that are probably going to go once this yard's all done, go to market, and then there's just that one Holstein left, and probably for the day or two that, or the day that we're cleaning this out, he can probably just hang out with the stalkers for a bit, because once we get our couple days that we're redoing this pen, we got to clean it out, and then once it's cleaned out, and the same with this side, we're probably going to pull the top 10 out of that pen and put them with him, and start them on a high energy ration to start finishing them, because they are pretty much got to that size and age that we can start to push their gains. So something like this guy right here, and this one here, and this one, and this one, they're all at a size that they need to start being on a high energy diet. So let's go check on the calves and see if they need anything. They likely need a bit of hay, and we'll check on the goats and probably get them some water, and then we got those calves in the hutches to feed. While we wait for Joe to come fix the mixer, we'll come check out these calves here. We've got 3 hutches set up now. I think you maybe use them, the video of these guys being dropped off. So what these calves are Charolais Holstein crosses. So they'll throw calves that color, this color, chocolate brown. So the dam was Holstein and the bull was Charolais. These guys are Charolais crosses as well. They're just jerseys. And then we got Bluey and friends there. So that inch of rain there, we should get these guys some fresh straw so they dry up. Get these guys some straw in there. Oddly enough, we didn't put straw in this hutch, we just left them on grass, and it's a lot drier, but there's only 2 of them, and then we'll get the straw in for those guys. It's I don't know how to do it. We've had them on concrete pad, but you get the rain, it stays wetter in the hutch and dry on the concrete. Here it stays drier in the hutch. The reason the straw is wet on top is because they go out and in all the time and they track mud in, just like little kids in shoes. So we'll put some fresh straw in there and get them all dried up. I think yesterday Joe and a neighbor, they worked away at moving dirt from the gangway or the hill that went up in so you could get up to the barn floor. They moved a bunch of that. It's mostly topsoil, and they got down to clay. And then I think today got a skilled operator, and we'll maybe put the concrete breaker on the skid steer, and we'll start pounding away, busting up concrete in the yard, and then got the dump truck, get it all clean, start cleaning up. And I'm thinking we'll probably just work our way this way, but not 100% sure how we're going to do that. There's water in here, and I don't necessarily know how we're going to get that water out, because the old drain plug, obviously got the old drain plug out, but whether the hole is plugged up with straw, that's another thing. So because you can't pack sand and gravel into slop like that, you'll never get it set up. So see what our game plan is. Today is empty chemical boxes and those empty seed bags and get them in the dumpster now that the dumpster's been dumped. So I want to finish tidying this area up so it looks a little more organized, it doesn't look like a bomb went off. 95% of the herbicide spraying is done. I just got probably one or two passes of cleanup in corn and dry beans, and then I won't probably do a cleanup pass of soybeans till probably right around weed harvest in a couple weeks, when we get close to flowering, and kind of time it with white mold. Beans aren't big enough yet, and the weeds aren't, wow, there's hardly any weed pressure there, and what's there is, if I went and sprayed it now, probably my residuals would start to really wear off, and then there'd be more and I'd have to make another pass. So beans are bigger than the weeds that are emerging, so I'm not too worried about that, and they started clean, so they should be good. So get these chemical jugs dealt with and empty seed bags, and then we will finish picking up stuff. And I might mix up some spray for the backpack sprayer and spray around these tanks to kill the weeds, and then spray around all the bins so we're ready for wheat harvest. There we got that disaster all tidied up. I got my shuttle there that I took there was a hole in the, someone accidentally put a hole in it, I guess, I don't know. Anyways, it wouldn't hold water much over 100 gallons, so cut it out. And when I'm done rinsing my jugs, I throw that in there. Now, some of you may ask, well, why weren't you doing that all along? Great question. I asked myself that when I was cleaning up all those bags and ripping all the jug labels off, that if I had just did it as I was going, and then once that thing's full, fill up a bag, and then our chem retail that we buy all our chemical from, they take those empty jugs back. And they'll even pick them up when they're dropping off chemical that I ordered. So I will for sure make that a part of my standard operating procedure when I'm spraying. So it's not overly warm today, but it is muggy. I have soaked right through my shirt. Gonna go get a drink of water and catch up with what Joe and Mitch are up to. All right, I got the pump rebuilt. Just put a new housing on it and then changed the fittings from those crappy white plastic ones. I was short a flange 90. Well, I wasn't, but I changed up how I was gonna do this thing here. So I've got a swivel part here. So when I'm reefing on the hose, it's not pulling on this thing. So put that on, 90 off of there, that should help. Won't reef on the hose. And then my plan is to find another one of these blue skids and join the two together, and then have the pump set up on that other blue skid, and then the hose connects to here, out and straight through, and have it all as a self-contained unit. So when I want to move it to a different spot or put it away for the winter, it's all on a skid. So raining pretty good now. I don't know if I'll wait for the rain to pass this afternoon, and we'll maybe go grab one of those skids and get this all buttoned up and put away. The other nice thing with the other skid having it. All right guys, so I slipped into the city and I grabbed a cage for this pump so I can secure it down on the skid. I flipped it around so that the pump is heavier than this whole assembly, plus these elbows and swivels stick out, so I can get right flush to the forks as far in as possible. So, and then I made a chunk of hose here to go right to my pump, or from my water tank to my pump, and then from the pump to my inductor system. I've got it that my transfer pump can be on here as well. So depending where I set this thing up, I can put the totes, I can move that inductor or that chem pump wherever, but it's just nice when you get done, put it on a skid and move it. Got my gas can, because I always run out of gas. And then I got that inductor tank. I think I'm gonna see if I can find some hooks or something. So when I put my spray nozzle on my hose to clean out my jugs or wash the inductor down, I'll find a hook there so I can just hook it in place. And I put some boards on the side here to keep the hose kind of contained. And then when we had our old tender trailer, we had a bracket here with just a male coupler on there that we bolted onto it, so then I can snap the hose in and when I'm not using it, and should be good to go. I did think It all depends on where the tanks are mounted. I might even flip the pump, move the pump somewhere else. I thought about just mounting the pump and everything all on one skid, but then I'd have to do something with that hose and like wrap it all around, whereas like this way this will fit in the bed of a box, pick our farm truck. So if we want to take it somewhere, like if we're spraying down at my father-in-law's and doing a lot of spraying, we can just load that up and have a self-contained pump unit. So it is extremely humid out. Extremely humid. But the sun has come out. Mitch and Joe have been working away. I think mostly Mitch. Joe's been working on a truck. Getting this kind of cleaned up and tidied up. So Mitch is just starting on that concrete, getting the concrete and the loose stuff sorted out, so we can kind of have like a nice work pad for when we start tearing down that barn there. See how it goes if the drone will get up. It's lots windy for it right now, so I'll see if the wind dies down and Mitch is still going, that get the drone up and gets a bird's eye view of him working with you guys in the morning. See how the fields are. Maybe do some spraying late afternoon if the sun and wind, not too much wind, but the sun and wind come out and we get the ground dried out and go spray. All right. Well, she's gonna be a warm, toasty one today. Got down to the farm around shortly after 9, and on my truck it was 28 degrees. With the humidity and everything, I think it's supposed to feel like 46. I don't know how they come up with that, what it feels like, but anyways, temperature's gonna be nice and toasty today. It is warm and muggy out there today. Got these guys some hay. Had to do a water calibration on the mixer. It was putting out a little bit too much water, so the mix was watered down. Joe calibrated it. Got these guys some hay. They'll be happy. But this heat is something else. Feels like a swamp in here. Not in the barn. The barn's good, but outside, holy, sun's out full force and she's toasty. I'll have to make sure I stay hydrated today if I'm going to work outside a lot, because I am sweating buckets. Now I sweat buckets just thinking about heat, so I had to take my glasses off because they just slide off my face when I sweat this much. So I won't be as keen a sight today. Alright, just out here in our edible bean field. So you can see they look awesome. I'm just coming out to check to see what weeds are coming. So it looks to me like we've got a few little lamb's quarters coming. Odd bit of grass. I'm not too worried about grass in here because it's easy to get a grass out of a broadleaf crop like edible beans, because I can always throw it in with my fungicide, with a fungicide pass, not hurt them too bad. But field's not ready to spray yet. It's still a little damp. Probably need all of today and probably most of tomorrow too. So be interesting to see. I've got a pre-emergent on here for grasses, dual. So I'm just wondering if it was just because we just laid it on top, if those areas we don't have, where we have grasses coming through, if it didn't just get, if it wasn't incorporated enough. So here's the wheat at my brother's house. This is the variety Swoop. So even with PGR Modus, it's still quite tall. But one thing I am noticing in it doesn't seem to have as big of leaves, but the heads are all a good size. We've got adequate moisture here. Didn't spring tiller out as well as the other variety over there, R40, but I am liking that it's got minimal stripe rust pressure in here, so maybe it's got a little higher rating than the other varieties of wheat that I grew. So you can see here we don't have a whole lot. Got it down below. We've got some diseases and some firing up, but it's also getting close to harvest time, so it's going to be starting to ripen in. Another thing I'm looking for is bleached heads. So bleached heads are kernels that were infected at pollination time with Fusarium, and I'm not seeing that out here in a high degree. So we didn't have what you would call a perfect storm for Fusarium in wheat. So that's why I wasn't as concerned going a little early and keeping the rust from setting in quicker or more. So the fungicide that we put on at heading time, it'll be starting to wear off now, and you know, that's the way the cookie crumbles. We'll likely won't have a delayed harvest, but really like the head size here. They're all uniform in size. So we take one here, like the kernels are going to get bigger, and will likely be I would say a long 3 weeks away from harvest, because today is 22nd, so we generally start combining second week of July. With all the wheat we got to do, we might start a little earlier and run some through the dryer, but we'll just see how it all plays out. Very happy with this stand of wheat. It's a little thin for my liking. It didn't tiller out in the fall the same, and then I gave it some more nitrogen to try and get some more spring tillers. It didn't do that. So I think if I were to grow this variety again, I would maybe position it to plant it a little earlier, see if we can push a few more tillers, and then also to bump the seeding rate up on it, maybe an extra 200,000, just so that we got a few more heads per square foot. So, but anyways, outside of that, it's a pretty good crop of wheat. I'll get back to my truck. I don't know what I'm gonna get up to today, because it is so bloody humid and hot. It's not too bad out in the wind. We get in around the barns and buildings, and man, is it muggy, just sweating buckets. So little weeds like this, lady some, they're coming. So I think once the field carries, I'll have to check the label to make sure I can still spray it with the unifoliate out, because look closely, the first trifoliate is just starting to come. So I'm pretty sure the label says from first trifoliate to third trifoliate. I know if I use lots of water, last year I sprayed it maybe a touch early and it was fine. With edible beans, you got a limited selection of herbicides that you can use to begin with, and so we'll just won't be perfect, but I know the beans are way bigger than what's as far as the weeds that are emerging are way bigger. So we'll be fine. So, and if not, I can always come back in with another herbicide like Reflex. And Bob's your uncle. Should have them, for the most part, pretty well tidied up. Well, let's go see. Alright, hopefully it's not too foggy on you guys. It's just inside. Well, it was way too hot this afternoon. I helped Joe put a play set together for my niece. Her birthday's in a few days, so we wanted to get that done before her birthday. So about 3 o'clock I called her quits. It was too hot. Came home, watched some TV, and I did something kind of cool. You might have seen it at the start of the video, but anyways, cat's out of the bag. I rebranded the channel to Rows and Ruminants. So ruminants are animals with 4 stomachs, and that's what we raise on our farm, and rows signifies the row crop farming that we do. So be sure to comment or like this video. Let me know what you think of the new name. I think it's kind of catchy. I used ChatGPT to help me figure something out and make the logo. So be sure to be on the lookout for Rows and Ruminants. It won't be called Jake O'Neill anymore, but you can still call it that if you see me in person. But anyways, guys, till next time, keep her between the ditches.